Hi everyone, this is Amanda and today we are going to be sewing this trendy corset top. Don't forget to like, comment and share my videos. Without wasting much time, let's get started. So we are going to start by adding our seam allowances to our fabric before cutting out. As you can see, I have done that, and we are going to be fusing it with an interfacing at the wrong side of our bodice, and I'm done interfacing the cap as well. So I used this fabric like interfacing for the cap, and then I used a softer or a paper-like interfacing for the body. This is optional. You can decide to use whatever interfacing you want to use. So at this point, I'm going to be joining the sides together at the front. So I'm going to be doing that by pinning first before taking to the machine and stitch. We are pinning both, and then after that we will be pinning at the center so that we can stitch both at once. When pinning, make sure all the lines meet before you pin and then stitch to avoid mistakes. So at this point, I'm going to be working on the back as well. I'm going to be pinning the sides together. As you can see, I have labeled it in order for me not to get confused. So make sure you label the upper parts and then the lower parts before you stitch to avoid mistakes. So as you can see, my allowance is 1/2 inch. You can decide to make it 1/2 and 1/4 or 0.75 inches. It all depends on you. So I'm done joining the parts together for the front, and I'll be measuring the length of the seams to know how I'll be cutting my bone out. So this is about 8.5 inches long. I'm going to be reducing 1/2 inch on both sides to make 1 inch. This is because we don't want to stitch on the bone. So I'll be measuring all the 3 parts before cutting my bone out. So I'll be using this cotton bias. So I'll be cutting it to the same size of my bone before stitching. So at this point, I'm measuring the size of the bone in order to know how to stitch the cotton bias. You can decide to place the bone in it this way, then place it on it and stitch. This is optional, or you can decide to stitch 1/2 inch. I'm stitching 1/2 inch because the size of my bone is about 1/2 inch. So I'll be stitching 1/2 inch as you can see there, and then insert my bone in. So after stitching, I'm going to be turning it out with a loop turner. And I'm doing it gently in order for me not to tear the seams up. So after that, you can press it down before inserting the bone in. So as you can see, after stitching the 1/2 inch, my bone will fit in perfectly. So at this point, I'm going to be placing it on my blouse, then stitch. Make sure it's at the center. So we are going to stitch on both sides of the bias. So we are doing that on all parts. So as you can see, I'm done stitching on the blouse. So I'll be doing this on the back as well. At this point, I'm going to be working on the cap. So as you can see, I have labeled the parts so that I don't make mistakes when stitching. So we will be stitching the 2 lower parts together before working on the upper part. So when pinning, make sure every part meets so it comes out well. So I'm done stitching and I'll be taking off the pins at this point so I can add the upper part to it. So remember we made notches. Make sure every part meets before pinning and then stitching. So as you can see, I'm taking my time to do it slowly to avoid mistakes. So after pinning, I'll take it to the machine and then stitch. When stitching, make sure you open up the seams before stitching so it doesn't fall on one side. So at this point, we are done with our cap. I'm going to be inserting it into the body of our blouse. So before pinning together, make sure you align the seams together. Make sure the seams meet each other so that it will fit perfectly. So after pinning the seams, I'm going to be pinning the upper parts together. So I'm pinning on both sides. We are doing the same thing to our lining as well. So as you are working on the body, make sure you are working on the lining. So at this point, I'm done stitching or fixing the cap into the body of the dress, and I'm going to be joining the seams of the back and front together. So after stitching the side seams, I'm going to be stitching the upper parts together. So measure the size of your seam. If you added 1/2 inch or 1/4, you are going to stitch it at the top. So before stitching, make sure you pin together and the seams are matching. So after that, I'm going to be turning it to the other side and then mark 1 inch intervals from the upper part to the lower part or hem. After that, I'm going to be cut a cord of length 2 inches, which I'll be fixing there for the loops. So we are cutting as many cords as we can. So before stitching, make sure you pin it down like I am doing so that everything will look nice and easy for you. You can also decide to stitch with a needle using your hand before stitching. It all depends on you. So as you can see, we are doing it like the way I'm doing it now, and I'm done pinning the cord on both sides of the blouse. So I'm going to be stitching with a machine before stitching before placing the lining on to stitch. So after stitching, I'm just going to flip the lining on as you can see and then stitch 1/2 inch on both sides. So after stitching, I'm just going to turn it out and you can see our loops came off very nice and neat. So at this point, I'm going to turn to the wrong side and then pin the seams together as you can see all through to the end before stitching. Make sure the seams are meeting. So open up the seams before stitching. So before you stitch, make sure you leave about 2 inches or a little space somewhere you can turn. So after stitching, I'm going to take off the pins before turning out. This is very important so you don't hurt yourself when wearing it. So at this point, I'm turning it out. After that, I'm going to be closing that space we left there by top stitching. So you are going to top stitch all through to the end, the lower part, the upper part, and then where the loops are. So now I'm done top stitching. You can see our dress is coming, or our blouse is coming out perfectly. So at this point, I'm going to be lacing it with my cord, or you can decide to lace with whatever you want. Don't forget to like, comment, and share my videos. So I am done lacing at this point, and you can see the final result of our work. See you another time. Bye.